I'm finding it incredible that a week ago, at this time of day, the sun was certainly up and a lot higher than it currently is now. And we're just looking across there. And in the space of 7 days, we've lost another hour of daylight. Whereas before, the sun was certainly in the sky at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's now 6 o'clock, just after. We've got a bit of an overcast day, I get that, but the sun is nowhere near as high as it has been. However, the nighttime temperatures remain steady at 16 degrees Celsius. And currently, we're sitting at 20. The summer's not quite over heat-wise yet. Well, the opening scene of the video today, which is all about compost, has kind of shown you that it's pretty fast for me to move from summer to autumn. I don't seem to have much of a space between the two. It's there and it's going quite quickly, certainly faster than what I'm used to back in the UK, where autumn seems to be a longer period of time. And looking at the longer range forecast, I know that in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be experiencing overcast days and foggy and misty conditions, and my temperatures are going to be dropping quite considerably. So I've got crops out there that I'm very keen to get ripened for a number of reasons. Once they're finished, I can take those materials that are left over and I can put them into the compost. And I won't necessarily be taking them out by the roots because I need the roots still in the ground. So by way of continuing our journey about regenerative gardening, or regen, today we're going to be looking at the compost and why it's so important. We've already covered the theories of the soil health and why that is the most important thing with the gardening, whatever theory that we're doing. And one of the best ways to help that is to be making our own compost. So let's go over to James, and he's going to run through the basic principles of composting, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we do ours.
Thanks Simon, and welcome to our guide to help you start making your own compost at home. The first thing to do is to decide which composting method to use, because there's two main types. First, there's open air composting. This is the simplest method and involves creating a pile of compost materials in a sunny spot in your yard. The second, and probably the most common, is a closed system. This method uses a bin or tumbler to contain the compost materials. This can be a better option if you have limited space or if you want to keep your compost materials out of sight. Next, we need to gather our materials. You will need a mixture of green and brown materials to make compost. Green materials are high in nitrogen, while brown materials are high in carbon. Some good examples of green materials include vegetable and fruit scraps, coffee grounds and tea leaves not in the bags, grass clippings, eggshells, weeds. Some good examples of brown materials include the following: shredded paper, cardboard, sawdust, wood chips, leaves. Now we can start adding the ingredients. Don't be too worried about exact quantities. Aim for about 50-50 ratio and you will be okay. However, the more green materials you add, you will see an initial increase in the pile temperature, but don't go above 70% because the pile will quickly turn to a mush and become matted. You will need to turn or flip your compost. Here at Regen, we turn twice during the process. Turning or flipping helps to aerate the compost and speed up the decomposition process. We need to keep our compost moist but not soggy. Be patient. It takes time for compost to break down. Depending on the conditions, it can take anywhere from 3 months to 1 year for compost to be ready to use. Here are some additional tips for making compost. Avoid adding meat, dairy, or pet waste to your compost pile. These materials can attract pests and can also produce unpleasant smells. If you live in a cold climate, you may need to cover your compost pile or bin to protect it from the cold. You can also add compost accelerators to your compost pile to speed up the decomposition process. Compost accelerators are made from materials such as manure, blood meal, and bone meal. Once your compost is ready, you can use it to improve the soil in your garden. Compost adds nutrients to the soil, helps to retain moisture, and improves drainage. It can also help to suppress weeds and pests. Let's go back to Simon where he's going to show you how we do ours here at Regen.
That cat gets everywhere, doesn't he? So this is the main area where we create our own compost. And I've been doing a little bit of work in here. We'll come around here a little bit. It's not the tidiest of places, but compost never really is, to be honest. So we have this 3-bay setup here. The end one being the finished compost that we made last year, yet to be put on the beds this late autumn, early winter. Keep the ground covered. So the one on the right, as we're looking, is what I'm using to feed the one on the left where that green frontage is. Now, the one on the right, as you can see, has been decomposing through the course of the summer. And in there is a mixture of grass and brown materials. If we get a little bit closer, you can see that the white is a sign that it's been reacting. Now, you would not normally see white on the top, so why have I got that here? Well, basically, what I did was I pulled out what we had in this bay here. And if we look on the ground here, there is some of it. This is the brown, this is the sawdust, there's a bit of wood chipping in there. There's some dried up dead weeds, that kind of material. A little bit of cardboard. And basically what I did was I pulled it all out. As I was doing it, I couldn't film it at the time. Found things like slow worms, all kinds of stuff. So that was showing me it was a really healthy environment for wildlife and bacteria. And then what I was doing was it was a kind of flipping process, I guess, by pulling it all out and then dropping it back in again and relayering it basically, because I was producing a lot of green material from the vegetable patch in particular. I started adding it back slowly but surely. By doing that, I was bringing in more air and I was able to identify any dry areas. So I've deliberately left all this in place so you can see how we do it. The most valuable tool for me is the pitchfork. And we also have these pallets here. I'll come back to that in a second. And so, oh, look who's here coming to inspect the work. Morning, Jack. I say good morning, I've already seen him. And we have, while Jack's there, I can explain this. We also have this roof on here because I do not want to get this too wet. So I started to refill it. And I did this job 10 days ago. I filled it to the top. And as you can see, it's dropped right down. And I've covered it with these polystyrene sheets to keep the heat in. And within a day, the temperature shot up to 140 degrees Celsius, which is exactly what I was looking for. Now, I've not taken this cover off yet. I'm expecting it to be getting down to around about 110, 120 degrees. So I know that the thermometer is there, feeling it. I'm also looking for any signs of insects or anything else like that. And I'm also checking the smell, because if it smells horrible, then it's no good. But it smells quite sweet. So let's lift this up. Well, I'm quite pleased with that. I can feel the heat coming off. I've got about 130 degrees Fahrenheit in there, which is 35 degrees Celsius. No, it's not, it's 54. I'm looking for wildlife and I can see a few insects buzzing around, nothing in particular. So now that's dropped. So it's working. I know it's decomposing because it's dropped and the temperature is correct. Doesn't look too dry. So now I can start taking it from here, topping up this bay from into there, and then when it's full I can keep it covered again as I've done before. And then there'll come a point where during the winter I will leave it, and then I'll put a cover across it, and I'll move these sheets of wood or roofing sheets across over to there, leave it for the rest of the winter. That will free up this bay so that come the spring, anything that hasn't decomposed on the top of this side can be flipped into there, which will reveal the finished product there. Well, the cat's getting himself nice and relaxed, and just across from the side of these bays is, I've got a couple of these dialects here, and I use them for smaller spaces. They're ideal, but because I've got this space available, I need a lot of compost. This is the system that I use, and it works best for me. Where are you going? There's nothing in there. Now I'm beginning to get a lot of brown materials as the leaves fall, so they'll be a great addition to the compost. I let them drop on the grass, what grass we have, and then I run the mower across there, so I get a mixture of the grass cuttings as well as the leaves at the same time. By chopping up the leaves with the mower, I'm increasing its mass, or its size if you like, and then that helps with the process of speeding up making of the compost. Let's go back to James, and he's going to talk to you more about how and why we use the compost and the benefits of it.
Welcome back. Now let's look at the many benefits to using compost. Here are some of the most important ones. It improves soil health. Compost adds nutrients to the soil, helps to retain moisture, and improves drainage. This can lead to healthier plants and better yields. It also helps us reduce waste. Composting is a great way to recycle organic waste that would otherwise end up in landfills. This helps to reduce methane emissions, a greenhouse gas that is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Compost saves us money. Composting can save you money on fertilizers and pesticides. It attracts beneficial organisms. These organisms help to improve the soil structure and make nutrients more available to plants. Compost helps to bind soil particles together, which can help to prevent soil erosion. Compost can help to filter pollutants from stormwater runoff. Combats climate change. Composting helps to sequester carbon in the soil. This can help to mitigate the effects of climate change. So overall, composting is a great way to improve your garden, reduce waste, and save money. If you are looking for a way to make a difference for the environment, composting is a great place to start. I have some other benefits of using compost. Increases plant growth. Compost provides plants with the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. Improves plant resistance to pests and diseases. Compost can help to make plants look healthier and more vibrant. Reduces the need for watering. Improves the taste of food. If you are interested in composting, there are a comprehensive playlist on the channel. Hit the logo to find out more.
So there you have it. That's compost. Pretty easy, isn't it? And the benefits are just, undeniable. Now, the channel has got a lot more videos, more in depth about how I really get into doing our own here. There's lots of tips there. There's all different things that I do. It's certainly worth you going, checking them out and having a look if you want to know more. But this is the principles of it. You can see it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't require a lot of work. You don't have to flip it every day or every week, as my videos have shown. So check them out, it's worthwhile. We're going to be continuing this journey of regen by talking about all the other different theories of gardening. Every single one of them is relevant to this particular subject, because if we pick and choose the different ones that we have and bring it into this system, it's going to make life a lot easier. So for now, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the logo in the right hand corner, and then you can join the channel and keep up to date with what's going on. But for now, take care, and I'll catch you soon.